Cancer, it's a word that's scary to hear no matter your age or circumstance. Among the more than 100 types, Ewing sarcoma is one relatively rare cancer.
Only about 200 children are diagnosed each year, according to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. But as it turns out, it may not be that uncommon in our area.
Tonight, in the first of a two-part series, KWQC's Bailey Dietz brings us the stories of several local families facing with that battle now. They are fighting for more than survival.
This picture was taken at a
friend's
wedding.
Moments in time cherished forever. Brian and Nancy Stroop flipped through pictures of their son Nick reliving the good years.
Still not a day goes by that we don't think about him and miss him.
He'd been dealing with back pain for several years when at 24, doctors found a tumor on Nick's rib. The diagnosis, Ewing sarcoma.
We were terrified at first, and then once we knew the extent of the disease, it was just a matter of you just hang on by your fingernails.
The family didn't know much about the disease, but quickly learned that it's rare.
We only have 200, 300 cases in our whole country a year.
And it's aggressive.
It can spread then to other bones and to the lungs.
Dr. James Petrie has seen a couple of cases as a local family physician.
Sometimes difficult to diagnose. They can be as simple as just bone pain or joint pain, can be a sports injury. Some people think of it as growing pains, which can delay diagnosis.
That may have been the case for Nick Strube, but he was determined for a good outcome.
I mean, he was optimistic the whole time, always saying, "I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm gonna beat this."
Seemingly he had. Nick got married, built a house, moved on with his life.
He was a young man starting his career.
Then, after a year of being cancer-free, the pain returned. And in November 2011, Nick lost his battle with Ewing sarcoma.
So this picture is very important. This is the only time that Uncle Nick, got to meet my daughter.
Sister-in-law Holly Larson also holds on to happy moments shared with Nick. Beyond what's displayed on a shelf, the family knew they wanted to do more.
And so it became more important, I think, to not only celebrate Nick's life and honor him, but to do something good with his memory.
And so the Nick Teddy Foundation was formed in honor of Nicholas Theodore Strube. Each September, Nick's hometown of Port Byron goes from being a quiet community on the river into a town swelling with runners and walkers for a 5K race that grows each year.
That first event, we raised close to $20,000, and so it was sort of like, wow, like we really can, like small grassroots effort can really make a big impact.
Money to go toward research, because through this journey, the family also learned how little funding goes toward Ewing sarcoma.
That's part of our mission, is to try to change that.
While more kids in the U.S. die from childhood cancers than any other disease, childhood cancers only get 4% of all federal cancer research funding.
After 5 years, the Nick Teddy Foundation is nearing $150,000 raised. In addition to raising money for Ewing sarcoma research and awareness, some of the money is directly helping others.
We were surprised, like anybody else, to find out how many cases there were locally.
Numerous families they've connected with facing the same fight.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. I know initially it was a little challenging to reach out and talk to people, simply because our story didn't end the way that they probably hope their story ends.
They all know that we can't fix anything. You know, it's their fight and we can't do it, but taking the pressure off is pretty satisfying when somebody says, you know, that really helped me out.
It becomes very rewarding to see that we've made an impact.
Some of the worst news a parent can get is hearing, of course, your child has cancer. Ewing sarcoma is a rare and aggressive bone cancer that typically strikes children and young adults.
While there are only a few hundred cases across the country each year, there are several families in our area dealing with this disease.
In the second part of this special report, KWQC's Bailey Dietz talked to those who are now fighting for more than survival.
Last night we showed you Nick Strube's story and his battle with Ewing sarcoma. Tonight we meet other local families and their fight for a chance.
All the families that we deal with, you just hang on and do it one day at a time.
Taking it one day at a time is something Brian and Nancy Strube continue to do, now 5 years since losing their son Nick to complications of Ewing sarcoma. At age 29, he had battled the rare bone cancer for the better part of 5 years.
He never would complain. That was the thing. You never really knew how how much pain he was in.
What they did know for sure was a desire to share Nick's story, help his memory live on, and through the Nick Teddy Foundation, an annual 5K race in Port Byron, the family hopes to give others more of a fighting chance.
Only 4% of all funds raised nationally go to research pediatric and adolescent cancers.
Not near enough in their eyes, considering research for Ewing sarcoma specifically gets only a fraction of that. And while it's rare across the country, it doesn't seem to be as rare in the QCA.
We met several families shortly thereafter that had kids battling the same disease.
Like Parker Kress, diagnosed at age 13 when doctors found a tumor in his right tibia area.
And all these big words and stuff, I don't know what they meant, but I mean, the simplest you can put it, it's a rare bone cancer, and I mean, you hear the word cancer, it's scary.
It's been a long couple of years for Parker.
I've gone through 17 rounds of chemo, 6 surgeries.
After you come to terms with things, you get sad and you get angry, and it's a range of emotions. It's a roller coaster.
Fighting to live, but all the while staying positive.
He always looks for the light at the end of the tunnel.
The Nick Teddy Foundation has been another shining light. During Parker's treatment, the organization pitched in on medical and transportation expenses, offering their support to the family.
They've helped us a lot mentally, financially too.
Part of our journey is to create awareness and to connect people with resources and things that are out there, can help them ease the burden in some way, shape, or form.
Parker is now 15 and says he's cancer-free. After the experience of a lifetime as kid captain at the Hawkeye game this fall, he's now focused on school and sharing his story, hoping to raise awareness and help others fighting for a chance.
I just want him to live his dreams.
Don and Eddie Vogel wanted the same for their daughter,
Tori had a love for art and anime.
who was also 13 when she got the scary news.
I knew something was wrong. The mother, mom's intuition is never wrong. I knew something was wrong with her from the minute I found the bump.
Another local family faced with the diagnosis, but their spunky teen responded well to the treatment.
She loved being bald.
Yeah, she
loved it.
We did know that when Tori was diagnosed, because of the treatment, she had a 1% chance of getting leukemia 5 to 20 years down the road.
Then, with just a handful of chemos to go,
we were getting ready to have a party.
That slim 1% chance of leukemia on top of Ewing sarcoma became reality.
She just continued to get worse.
From diagnosis, it took 6 days.
She passed away the same day she would have finished 8th grade. I was just so angry. She's not here and so afraid she's going to be forgotten.
Their daughter's life cut short. Left with that void, the Vogels also wanted to make a difference.
You want to start pulling out some of the stuff?
Turning Tori's love of art into something special for other children fighting cancer.
From coloring books, crayons, markers.
Tori's Art of Hope. The Vogels fill boxes full of drawing and craft supplies.
And we always put in some tattoos and stickers.
Plus trinkets and even some sweet treats.
Not too much candy, but we wanted to give just a little bit.
They've made dozens for children at the University of Iowa Hospital, as well as other young Ewing sarcoma patients across the country, making sure to share a little about Tori's journey with each delivery.
We want to bring cheer and the love of art back to the kids and keep continuing her honor.
Beyond that, the Vogels share the same goal with other local families impacted by Ewing sarcoma: more awareness and more research.
There's not enough funding for pediatric cancer.
So the future is filled with more hope for those battling the rare disease, just fighting for a chance to live.
It is heartwarming that something that is awful as what happened to us is at least has some positive impact now on the community.
Doctors say if your child is having any unexplained pain that is persistent, it is a good idea to have it checked out. For more information on Ewing sarcoma and these local efforts, visit our website, KWQC.com.